The reason that amazing team was attracted and continues to be at Equinox is our work culture.
Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Is it that easy to become one?
I've met a bunch of people who want to be entrepreneurs but haven't taken a jump. So they're referred to as entrepreneurs. If you have to do something, it have to be something you're personally passionate about. I've known hundreds, if not thousands, of founders. I've never seen a journey that looks like this. There's a lot of misconception that raising money is very cool. My biggest learning is do not get into business if you don't have at least one mentor.
What do you look at when you're really hiring somebody, or what are the qualities that you should be looking for?
Hire to core values, fire to core values.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Happy Hour with FinCocktail. Today we have with us somebody very interesting on our 10th episode. He is a serial entrepreneur and he is the CEO of Equinox Labs. He's worked in the industry for 18 plus years, and funnily enough, he runs his own podcast too. So today we're going to podcast the podcaster. Please welcome Ashwin Bhadri.
Thank you so much for having me. This means a lot to me because I've been following FinCocktail since its early days, and you guys are doing a brilliant job. I think you're entering year 4, and congratulations to you and Saidi both.
Thank you so much. It's such a great pleasure to have you here, and thank you so much for doing this for us.
Anytime.
So tell me, we've heard this on your podcast, in your interviews. You had a very well set sort of family business for which you were working with your dad. From that to starting your own venture, what sort of made you pivot and take that leap of faith?
So I studied in the US. I did my computer science over there, did my MBA in marketing. I was the good son. I came back and I joined a family venture, which was actually run by my mom and dad. They ran India's third largest water treatment company. And it's something that excited me then. And I started working, and I have a very unique last name, Bhadri. It's not very common, right? So no matter which customers I went to meet, even though my card didn't actually carry a designation, they used to always ask me, like, are you related to Satish Bhadri? And I used to say yes. And then they would forget what I came there for, and they would just start talking about him and what he's done for them and how he saved their job and how he solved some problems for them. And about 6 months in, I realized that, hey, you know what? I'm never going to make a mark for myself. I'm never going to make a name for myself. And when I was about 10, my dad had told me a story about the sun and the moon. And he had said that, hey, Ashwin, when you're growing up, you're going to have a lot of reflected glory. That doesn't mean that you are good. It's just that it's reflected. You're the moon, the people around you are the sun. It's just reflected. And then I realized that if I continued there, it would always be reflected glory. So my decision to leave and my conversation with the family was, I kid you not, 30 seconds.
Really?
And it was a sizable company. It's not some 4, 5, 10 people company. It was almost 400-500 people. And I literally went and told him, I don't think I'll ever be the son in Aquatech. And he understood exactly what I meant. And he said, okay, fine, go. But then he did say one filmy line. And I know it sounds filmy now. He's like, hey, once you leave, then you can't come back, because I will then start taking steps, to exit, because I'm not going to run this till my grave, right? So that was this thing. And that's why I left and I started Equinox Labs. And the reason I started Equinox Labs was when I was working there, I used to deal with a lot of laboratories. So we were in water treatment, right? So I used to deal with a lot of water testing labs across the country, and the service used to be so poor. I'm like, yeah, I think I can do better than that. And that's one of the reasons I started Equinox. And yeah, from then it's been one company to another to doing a lot of interesting stuff.
Very interesting. So now Equinox Labs is over 1,000 employee company. How did you scale up and how did you get it to where it is right now?
I would love to say it is all my hard work, and it's not. I think there are 3 factors that affect scale. One is you need to be in the right industry and also at the right time. 2, you need to have a kick-ass team that you put together. And at Equinox, I must say that I'm blessed with an amazing team. And the reason that amazing team was attracted and continues to be at Equinox is our work culture. So that's been our secret sauce. And the third, which is even more important is luck.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know a single founder that I have met who hasn't factored luck in their success. It's being there at the right time, but at the same time, it's not giving up. There have been times when Equinox was 3 months away from shutting down, 6 months away from shutting down, multiple times. But the fact that we did not give up, we pivoted multiple times till we got the formula right, and then we were able to scale. So for a long time, for the first 10 years of Equinox, we were a less than a 50, 60 people company. That also because I was working on other businesses then. But there was a law called FSSAI, which
Hmm.
stands for the Food Safety Standard Authority of India, which came into play about a decade ago. That changed the game.
Okay.
And once that testing became mandatory, then I realized now it's time for me to leave everything else and double down on this. And then we were able to scale from there.
Wow, nice.
And
But you mentioned work culture, and I think it is so important to have a good work culture because at my job, I was working there for over 5 years, and for the first four, we had an excellent boss, we had an excellent work culture, and it was just amazing. You wanted to wake up and go to work every morning, and I think that makes a huge difference in a corporate culture. I think so. Kudos to that.
thank you.
So you spoke about like food safety and food testing and all of that. So what does Equinox Labs really do?
So Equinox does three things.
Okay.
One, we do testing of water, food, and environment. So in water, obviously, water is potable or not, packaged drinking water, so on and so forth. Water in your houses, hospitals, schools, the quality of that in offices, especially. Then when it comes to food, nutrition label, shelf life of the
Mm-hmm.
product, is the product safe or not? Does it have any pesticides, heavy metals? And last, environment, where we look at indoor air quality, outdoor air quality, effluent treatment, ETP, STP that it's called. So we do check for everything that relates to environment. So those are the three things in testing.
Okay.
Then in the second part, we do audits. Today have more than 700 auditors across India, making us almost Asia's largest auditing firm, where we do food safety audits for large brands across the country. And third is training, where we train people on food safety. And so that completes the entire circle for, especially if you're a food brand, we do almost everything for you in terms of compliance. In terms of corporates, we do everything for compliance and well-being of the individuals in your company.
Very interesting. So you mean to say that every company has to undergo this if they're manufacturing a food or a water kind of product, they have to undergo this testing by default?
Yes. So if you're a food company or even a water company, you have to undergo testing, right, for the nutrition label, for the shelf life. Every 6 months, you need to get the water tested. You need to get your people trained by law,
Hmm.
right? The audits right now are optional for most of the people. But for predominantly all the other, whether you're running a restaurant or a food manufacturing company, uh, shelf life, nutrition label is mandatory, water testing is mandatory.
Very interesting. Okay, got it.
And the funny part is we do a work for a lot of corporates where this is not mandatory, but companies still do it. So we just turned 18. So, but on our 11th anniversary, I'd sent out an email to all our customers,
Hmm.
thanking them for being a part of our journey. And I'd asked them two things. One is, why do you do testing?
Hmm.
And the second was, why do you do testing with us?
Hmm.
The first answer shocked me when it said, why do you do testing? I thought they would say law.
Hmm.
It was to protect brand,
Hmm. Brand image.
to protect people, and then compliance.
Hmm.
It was interesting how the brand came above people,
About
but
people, yeah. I was just
nonetheless,
thinking.
but it's always interesting when you get insights this way, right? When you're able to peek into people's minds and understand these things, then your strategy can be a little different
Hmm.
when you're trying to acquire customers. And the second part that we asked them was, why do you work with Equinox?
Hmm.
So I thought they would say about price, they would talk about the best
Quality or
equipment and
equipment.
quality, friendly and flexible. Those were the two adjectives that kind of popped up in almost 60-70% of responses. They're like, your team educates us on everything. It's not always about sales. And
Approachable.
two, and they're approachable. We call them at 11:30 at night. They'll pick up our phone with the same amount of enthusiasm as 10 in the morning. So those were the two reasons they continued working with us.
Nice. Great, great. So, you know what? These days, the word entrepreneurship gets thrown around a lot. I mean, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. And since you are a serial entrepreneur, can you give us some perspective or even a reality check for that matter? Is it that easy to become one?
Yes, it is easy to become one. it is a lot more difficult to become a successful one.
Yeah.
Right. So I've met a bunch of people who want to be entrepreneurs but haven't taken a jump. So they're referred to as entrepreneurs.
I love that term.
So here's the thing. I don't think it's that nobody can do business. I think everyone can do some kind of business. But are you aligned? Are you the right person to do that business? Right. So I've shut down 6 companies. 3 of those companies I shut down is not because we ran out of money, is not because the product was bad. I wasn't meant to be the person to run that company. So people talk about product market fit. It wasn't a founder product
Product
fit,
fit.
right? And because I realized that if I'm not excited about it, I shouldn't be running it. It's as simple as that, right? So that is important. So if you have to do something, it have to be something you're personally passionate about, right? Two, when you're jumping into entrepreneurship, and especially if you're doing it at a younger age, it's a little easier. It's a lot more difficult to do it at a later age when you have more responsibilities, you have EMIs, you have this, that, and the other. So I think the simple formula I mentor a few people. So the simple formula I tell them is, if you figured out what your run rate for your life is, how much money you spend every month. If you have somewhere between 12 months to 24 months put away, then over the next 9 months to 12 months you can actually try entrepreneurship. And if it doesn't work out, you can go back to a day job. uh, that's important to have that little bit of a safety net, right?
Flexibility.
Does it make sense to just quit overnight and just jump head on? If you're younger, yes, why not? What do you have to lose, right? If you're a 24-year-old who wants to start your own business, why not? If somebody else is paying your rent, somebody else is covering your food, why not? You can actually take the risk. You're a 36-year-old, 3 kids, you have EMIs, you've just taken a car, may not be the best time to drop everything if you don't have a nest egg in place.
Absolutely. So
So
this actually makes me want to correlate it to a very personal finance example where we say the same thing to people where they ask us about risk in the stock markets or in equities, and this is what we exactly say, that when you're younger you can take a lot more risk at that age. You don't have responsibilities, you don't have EMIs, you don't have to worry about a family. You can take a lot more risk when you're younger, but as you grow older, the proportion of equity in your portfolio gradually automatically has to reduce. So it's kind of like that, I believe.
kind of that way.
Yeah.
And this is actually 100% your equity. So
Yeah.
that.
But when you say serial entrepreneur, I know that you've started about 15 companies, and you mentioned right now that you've shut about 6 out of
6.
those. What's that been like? What's the story behind that?
So I had this when I was 18. I had a very weird vision or version of myself when I turned 40. So on my 18th birthday, my friends had asked me that, hey, what do you want to be doing when you turn 40? And my answer was, I want to have 7 companies. And that's a very weird answer for a 18-year-old. And the story behind that is, just a few days before, I'd read somewhere that, hey, if you want to be successful, you should have 7 sources of income. Me being a naive 18-year-old, I thought, and me seeing that my parents work for a living and they had one company that generates income, for me, it was like, I want to have 7 companies, right? I know it's a very stupid thing as an 18-year-old to say. The funny part is, by the time I turned 30, I already had 7. By the time I turned 40, 7 we had gone up and gone down. Uh, the problem is, or the point is, for me, I have this itch every year that I want to do something new. I get bored quite easily. When I see an opportunity, and if I think that opportunity is scalable, I want to be able to apply my mind. I want to be able to put funds and see, is this viable, right? So in the last 3-4 years, I've actually not started anything new. But today, Equinox Labs has reached such a stage where we are doing the new within Equinox Labs. At this given point in time, we have 32 projects, special projects, which are going on, each of which has the ability to become its own company. They will still be a part of Equinox Labs, but this is not completely on my shoulder. Now it's me and the leaders, or sometimes just the leaders in Equinox, who are running this, right? So one of my recent success stories, and I'm saying it's my success story, but very soon you'll realize it's actually not my success story, is during the pandemic, uh, we were all working from home, right? So we were not all together. And at the end of 2020, my team comes and tells me, hey, we've started a new vertical. I'm like, oh, you're going to start a new vertical? They're like, no, we started it. It's like, what do you mean you started it? They're like, no, we started a new vertical. It's called PCVT. And I'm like, what the hell is PCVT? They're like product claim validation testing. And I was like, what do you mean you started it? You guys are going to start it? They're like, no, we started it 4 months ago. We've got 20 customers. We've done about 1 crore of revenue. And I was like, okay, can I know a little bit more about this? And they actually give me what they did. And what they started doing was they started validating, claims of companies when they say like 99.9%, kills germs, whatever it is. So we were doing the testing. It just wasn't called PCVT. They formed it into a study. They packaged it and they sold it to other companies. Then I thought, oh, this is only for chemicals. They've done it for cars. They've done it for pressure cookers. They've done it for fans. They've done it for
Genius.
ACs. They've done it for air purifiers. And the reason I keep saying it's my success is the fact that I wasn't involved.
Yeah.
And my team took that risk, bet on it, spent time, money, effort, and made it a success, made it an entire division.
Yeah.
Today, it's actually big enough to be its own company. It's not. It's a division of the company, but it's actually big enough to be its own company. Right?
Wow.
So the credit obviously goes to my team. But the reason I keep saying it's my success is the fact that I wasn't involved and my team was able to do this.
Yeah, taking that initiative just on their own. And I mean, involving you at a stage that is, after 1 crore of revenue is done.
So I think that was brilliant. And the second one, which is weird, is pet food. So I didn't know for the first 4 months that we started doing pet food testing.
Wow.
Inquiries came. One of my team leads saw that, hey, if one guy came, second guy came, they're like, one sec, if 2 people have come on their own, can we explore? So he put a 2-people team trying to sell pet food testing. And today I think we have about 100 companies that do pet food testing with us.
Wow. And this is a growing market.
This is
a huge market.
growing market. So the society I stay in, right, has, I think, about 5 entrepreneurs making pet food at home and selling it.
At home?
At home, like chicken jerky and...
This has become
she's
very
saying,
famous.
yeah, she knows.
Yeah. Siley
Right.
knows, I'm sure she
So
knows.
I'm very sure Siley knows, right? But that's a huge business. And another interesting thing I found out that, pet parents. In my mouth, it's pet owners, but that's...
Parents.
By the way, that one verbiage change has changed so many things.
Yeah.
Right? 10 years ago, you used to be pet owners. Now you're a pet parent. What that means is you actually spend as much or sometimes more on your pets than your children.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not in looking there. I can see her shaking her head like, yeah, that's what I do. Right? I'm at some point going to ask you or interview you how much you spend on pets.
I actually know that number. and it boggles me. It baffles me.
So I think, but that small little change has changed so many things, right? So I think the other day I learned a new term, DINK, right? Like double income, no kids. And then what is the other one? Dinkwad. No kids with a dog. And I was like, wow, like it's fully legitimized. So I have cousins, actually my wife's cousins, like they're closer to me than my wife. But they've decided not to have kids. The entire family will pressure them. I'm the only one who stands behind them saying, no boss.
ठीक कर रहा है.
If you ever feel you need kids, mine are available, take. You feel like weekend pe, our kids chahiye, mere leke jao.
Yeah.
Right? So Dinkwad is the next. I have a feeling she's going
to be one of
Dinkwad?
those.
As of now, yes, Dinkwad it is. And that was a new learning for me, by the way.
Yeah. So you spoke about your successes. Tell us a little bit about the failures. What did you actually learn from those?
Failures are, according to me, brilliant. The reason is I've actually learned more about business from my failures. The reason is it taught me, obviously, what not to do. One, don't go into a business that you fully don't understand.
Okay.
I've done that plenty of times. Thinking, I'll figure it out. I didn't figure it out. 2 is don't do business with people that you wouldn't trust 100%. So if your gut says something is wrong, listen to your gut. Because basically, according to me, what is a gut reaction? It is basically your past learnings that are coming back up. It's just that you're not able to connect the dots. So that's at least what I've understood. So every time I've had a gut reaction now on, hey, this will work or this will not work, I listen to it. Because it's basically a past learnings just coming up more in an instinctive format where my brain is still not able to connect. Why am I thinking this? It will catch up. But my gut is like, yeah, nahi aane wala, maja nahi aane wala, right? So then let's not do it. And the third most important one is, if you're not passionate about what you do, don't do it, right? Because it would be crazy to do something you're not passionate about, because to make any business successful, the amount of blood, sweat and tears you need to put in, if you're not passionate, you're not going to be able to stick it out till you become successful. I've known hundreds, if not thousands, of founders. I've never seen a journey that looks like this. It's always like this, like this, if you're not passionate, when you go down, you'll not have the energy to go back up, right? So hence passion matters a lot, right? And last but not the least, if you're not going to be able to put your own money on the line first before raising money, that means you yourself don't believe in the idea. I know so many kids and they're like, oh, I'll raise money. I'm like, how much are you putting? 50,000. How much you want to raise? Million. Like, are you out of your mind, right? If you don't have the money to put in, see, one is like, and second thing is about raising money. There's a lot of misconception that raising money is very cool. It's not. Now you have an external person who has a gun to your head. Not the smartest thing to do unless you find fantastic investors who are as passionate about the idea as you are, who understand the long-term game, who are with you for the next not 2 to 3 years, but a 5 to 10 year horizon. And last but not the least, they're able to guide you and add some value to your business.
Mentor you in some
Mentor
way.
you in some way or the other. And my biggest learning is, do not get into business if you don't have at least one mentor. Life is too short to make mistakes all by yourself, right? I have made so many mistakes. Today, she was telling me, I want to do something. I'm like, you know what? Maybe not, right?
Yeah.
Because here is what I've learned. There's another way to do this, right? Get the maybe same level of excitement, but there's another safer way to do it.
Right.
I have today 8 different mentors in my life, all of whom help me make better decisions. None of whom tell me what to do, but they ask me the right question. Very Socrates of them, where they were like, oh, have you thought of this? It's like, oh, I haven't thought of this. Let me think of this, right? So, and one of my most famous mentors is Dr. Velumani, who used to be the founder of Thyrocare.
Right.
So he has helped me take a lot of bold decisions. He has shown a lot of faith in me, and he has, helped me become a much smarter and better businessman.
Wow. Nice.
So don't do it without mentors.
That's a great point, actually, and that's something that I don't think we've focused or even thought about it like that, because we are sort of building our own team and our company and trying to grow it and stuff, but what you always think about is what you're going to achieve in terms of like goals or whatever, but mentor is something that I think that you put a very valid point across. And like I said, we're in the process of building a larger team. We have a team. We want to build a larger one. You have 1,000+ member team. What are your sort of what do you look at when you're really hiring somebody, or what are the qualities that you should be looking for in a person? Because now your team is literally doing things without you having to intervene. They are making money without you even knowing it. So what is the right kind of I don't know, attitude, qualities that you look at when you're hiring people?
So before you focus on external, I would always start by focus on internal.
Okay.
Meaning, do you as a founder have a very clear purpose, clear vision for the company, right? One of the other mistakes which I made, I should have shared earlier, is I've always had a grand vision for whatever I've done. But for the first 7-8 years, I never shared it very clearly with every teammate. It was always here. The minute I started sharing this with people, I used to see that, hey, is he, she, are they as excited about this vision as I am? And if the answer is yes, I know they'll be a good fit. So that is filter number one. Filter number two, always hire for will over skill, because almost any skill can be taught. Will is very difficult to change. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's very difficult to change, right? You can make a will ka change 5%, 10%, 15%. You can't take somebody from a 10 to 100. You can take them from 10 to a 12. You can't take them to 100, right? So will becomes absolutely key. And when you are starting off, you will need to find people who can work across designations, roles, because that versatility is important. As you scale, you actually want, like if you're a 500 people production house, you don't want everyone who can do everything. You actually now want specialists.
Correct.
But when you're starting off, you actually want generalists who over time will become specialists, right? So today, all my leaders, I think the average duration of any of my leaders now is almost 8+ years with Equinox, like people who work with me directly. And the reason that they do what they do is they are in tune with the same vision. They have the same core values, which are absolutely crucial, right? They're one of the key pillars of work culture is core values, right? And they understand that, hey, you know what, as the organization grows, that I as a person am growing with them. So the key of having and scaling a team, one is get great people, hire to core values, fire to core values. That again took me a long time for me to learn that you should, while I've been hiring for core values, if people are not the right people culture wise, it's best to let them go. Like there was one of my top salespeople, but completely toxic for the company. I did not fire her for almost 3 years because she used to bring in the top revenue, right? It was 3 years too long, but when I let her go, every single person under her today has risen, happier, risen, and it's just work culture wise, right? It's good for everyone around them. And this is when we were 100 people, there was one toxic person. But if that person had stayed on, I don't think we would have been 1,000 people company, right? So having the ability to, having the guts also sometimes to remove that person is important. I'm not saying at the first sign you remove them.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Over
you
time,
counsel them, you help them get better. But if you're not the right environment for them, it's okay for them to move on. I personally never feel that it's not a bad person. It's never a bad person. We are not the right environment for that person to grow in. Maybe in a different environment, that person will grow better, right? And last but not the least is create scalable processes. It is one of the most underrated tactics. Like anything you do, for example, this should be written down. Many people say it's an art. Yes, it is an art. But if you want to scale, you should be able to turn that art into a science, which is something we've been able to do well. Like today, we operate 6 labs across the country. We have 1,000+ people working across. We have 700+ more auditors on field. But all of them finally are following a system that we've kind of written down. We've created our own softwares so that the SOPs get followed. Because now if you have 700 auditors, many of whose faces I have not even seen, how do I ensure that they're doing the same thing the way they're supposed to be done? Through training, through software, through all of that. So creating processes is absolutely crucial.
Wow, nice. Entrepreneurs don't really make steady income. As a salaried employee, you have it much easier where you have a certain like amount coming into your bank account every month. You know that you're going to get this. But as entrepreneurs, this is something that we've been grappling with also, where there's no steady income month on month. How do you then kind of manage your finances and sort of account for the months where it's kind of bad?
Like pandemic, salary became zero across all companies, right? So I mean, for founders especially, the way you account for that is through savings, right? uh, the basic equation that I have used, and I'm very sure you guys would have also used, is whatever income you have, whenever you have, up to maybe 40-50% should cover your basic life needs, should cover your rent, EMIs, so on and so forth. You can spend another 10 to 15 to maybe as high as 20% on long-term saving, right? But out of the discretionary spend, that 30-35% that you're left with, if you lead an extravagant lifestyle, then you take a very large hit the minute that goes to zero or goes down, right? One of the big sources of unhappiness that I've seen nowadays is unfortunately social media. I know you guys are on social media, you guys are a lot on social media, but my point is everyone's every happy moment, everyone's every high is displayed on social media. Like, oh, she went to Maldives, oh, I haven't gone to Maldives. Oh, she has the latest iPhone, I don't have the latest iPhone. That comparison is what kills joy more than anything else, right? I don't carry an iPhone. Everyone asks me why I don't carry an iPhone. Now, because of that, I purposely don't carry an iPhone, right? So my personal phone is actually not an iPhone. I do have an iPhone, which the company has got to shoot BTS. Are you shooting BTS? Okay. Right? So it's literally bought for BTS, right? The point is, if you lower your lifestyle cost just a notch, you're now able to create generational wealth. you're not going to be able to exponentially increase your salary. But if you're able to increase your saving and have it invested just very in a very basic format, I'm not the right person to tell you which mutual fund and what and so on and so forth, right?
I guess we are the right people
You're
to
the right
tell
people to
people
tell.
that.
You tell me now which way where I should invest money, right? But once you're able to create a sustainable lifestyle, that even tomorrow, if your salary becomes half, your lifestyle is not affected. Then you can actually survive any of these things. The savings that you have will kind of come in handy. And most of the time, when you have that excess, the best place to invest it, especially if your business is doing decent, is back in your business. Right? And if you're it's a proprietorship or a partnership, and if it's just within the family or with another founder, you can always dip into those funds because they're yours. However, the minute you get an external investor, you can't. Right? You shouldn't.
Yeah.
I hope you
Yeah,
don't.
of course.
that I think would account as fraud, but right? No, so I remember when Equinox was much smaller and was just the family. I mean, you can access this fund, take fund from here, deploy it there, and so on and so
Correct.
forth. But the minute you have an external investor, it's not right for us to be able to do
Yeah.
that, right? So that's a landmark that we've kept. But when you have ups and downs, especially when you have downs, your savings is what you rely on. But if you want to keep your happiness up, your basic cost of living has to be as low as possible, because that extra saving that you make is what actually creates long-term wealth
Wealth.
and long-term joy.
So, do you ever discuss these money matters at home? I mean, is it a conversation that you have with your wife, with your kids? Because more often than not, we hear uh, people shy away from discussing these things, especially at home. So, what's it like for you?
Discussing money matters with close family, since we're a business family, we discuss everything. However, when it comes to extended family, zero. And I think it's, and I don't shoot me for saying this, Maharashtrians are notorious not to talk about money.
Okay.
While like a lot of my close friends are Gujus, Madhus, after the first 5 minutes of hi, hello, how's the family? What investment, where to make money, where you lost
कौन सा
money,
stock?
कौन सा stock खरीदा, यहाँ पे land ले ले, ये मत ले, ये गाड़ी इस price में मिल रही, whatever, right? So we discuss money, business opportunities a lot more. Unfortunately, Maharashtrians don't discuss it as much.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know why. I, uh, I don't know. Like somebody actually told me long ago that you'd be looked down upon if they look at you, oh, this guy makes this much money. Like, how greedy is he? Like, no, I'm not
It's a
that
good
greedy.
thing to
But
make
it's
that
a
much
good thing to
money.
make money, because if you want to do good in the world, it's good to have that, income available. And I don't think it's evil to make money. It's not bad if you don't make it, but if you're making it, I don't feel guilty about making money. There are times I've not made any money, there are times I've lost a lot of money, and that's been fine. But it allows you to take bigger risks, it allows you to do greater good, right? Discussing money and its implication with children, I think, is absolutely key, right? So giving them the sense of what is budget, like, hey, if you have these two things, which one would you choose and why? So anytime we buy any games, if you buy something for the house, I make sure the kids understand that, okay, hey, I bought this new game, it costs 1,000 rupees. Okay, now how do you earn 1,000 rupees? How much work do you have to put in to make 1,000 rupees, right? So I think that's extremely important that they understand this. A big challenge that is going to come up, especially for people who are doing okay now and for their kids, is I don't think those kids are going to understand the value of money as much, because they've always moved around in Mercs and BMWs.
Yeah.
They've gone to the best schools, which are like 20-25 lakhs a year. They've all their vacations have been abroad,
Yeah.
right? In my case, it's not all vacations are not abroad. And I did one thing bad, and which I regret now, is we had taken a vacation in Bali just before the pandemic. And in Bali, booking a villa is it's a cost of like a small Airbnb here or normal hotel. You get
Yeah.
you get a
Yeah,
full
you get
villa there
like a
with
good
a
villa with
private
the
pool,
pool
like
and
with a
everything.
pool,
Yeah.
right? So we did that and it was nice. And the next vacation we took, it was I think in Bangalore or somewhere, and my son was like, one sec, why are we staying in a hotel room? Why can't we take a villa with a private pool? I'm like, no. That's a once in a decade experience you're going to get. You're never going to stay in a villa with a private pool ever again, right? Because I didn't realize that that's the expectation that automatically gets set. That
Yeah.
hey, that all vacations is pool with a private, private villa with a private pool.
Yeah.
And I think that's a wrong expectation. Maybe you can enjoy it once in a while.
Yeah.
But if kids become used to that, oh, that's the life,
Yeah.
I think we are going to be in deep trouble with the next generation.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And this is why Siley and me, this was one of the sort of thought processes behind us starting FinCocktail, is that money matters aren't discussed freely at home, and especially never with children. You know, managing money, even if it is a small amount, should be taught from like school level. Like save karo. You get some pocket money, save it. I don't even know if kids these days get pocket money. We used to get pocket money, and we used to. I remember my mom telling me that pocket money to whatever you'll get, but if you want to earn some extra money on top of that, I'll tell you to make 5-6 phone calls for me a day. कि ये order करना है, वो order करना है, ये इधर से pick up करो, drop off करो. Do that. I'll give you 2 rupees per phone call.
Nice.
And that's how I used to get that extra money to eat that extra one like packet of chips in school or like one samosa in school or something. I don't even know if kids get pocket money these days.
My son gets pocket money, but he has to earn it.
Yeah.
My daughter doesn't get.
How does he earn it? Out of
Oh.
curiosity.
Chores around the house.
Mm-hmm.
He loves to play chess. He loves to play cricket. But his room, like you enter his room, like everything is everywhere. So just like getting, like, hey, keeping your room clean, like clean up your room. And there's multiple tasks that we've set up, and for each there is like an amount that he can earn. I think FinCocktail should do a series on kids.
No,
Because I don't think there is enough content for investment or for savings or for money for kids. Right?
there isn't.
There is such a huge opportunity for teaching kids about basics of business, basics of money.
Yeah.
And there is a book that I was reading. It's called Coffee and Startups. I think. So Coffee and Startups, when I got the book, the day he published it, he put it on the group. I ordered it. When I went through it, I realized, okay, for me, it's a little basic. And I was about to just archive the book. But I'm like, what I started doing is I just started leaving it on my table. And my son picked it up. And now my son is talking about product market fit. He's talking about valuation. He's talking about so many different things. But here's the fun part. If I told him, sit and read this book, he probably wouldn't have done it.
100%.
The fact that he just saw it lying around, he was reading other stuff. He finished his books. Then he was like, what else to read? And he just saw this lying on my table. And he picked it up and he read a few chapters. But again, I think that space is a very, very untapped space. And at some point, FinCocktail should create a series just for kids.
We're working on it.
Excellent.
I didn't want to put it out there, but
It's out there.
We're working on it.
Excellent.
So if someone were to become a serial entrepreneur, I know that it's hard because it's essentially means you have to be in multiple places at once. And today's generation, probably, I don't know if they have the ability to do that, or I don't know if they think of it as spreading themselves too thin or whatever. But if someone were to sort of put themselves in your shoes and try and do this, what is your advice to them?
So first is do one thing at a time. Let it reach a certain size where it's able to scale without you. Then get on to the next thing. One of the mistakes I made is trying to do this while doing this one startup is not in fully cooked, doing something else, all those three shut down.
Yeah.
Right? Anytime I've done something, go deep, create processes, create the great culture, create good people in that system. Let the system scale without you being there. That's the fantastic time for you to kind of realize, okay, I can step back for 2 days and nothing's going to break. Things are actually going to go on, in place. They're actually going to grow. Now I can go and I can do something else, right? So if you're many a times also realizing if you become the bottleneck in your own company, this requires a massive overhauling of your internal self, because your ego can take a very big hit.
Yeah.
Saying that I have become bottleneck in my own company, and I had become bottleneck in my own company. I used to interview everyone at Equinox across all the groups. Anytime anyone would join, even an intern, I would interview. Then I realized that people were waiting 10, 15 days just to be interviewed by me. Like they've cleared all the other rounds and like the CEO round is pending. And I'm like, crap, one second, I'm becoming the bottleneck.
Yeah.
Right? Then I had a meeting with my leaders saying that, hey guys, I'm actually going to step out. And I would want you all to make sure, because they were like, oh, they used to be a little more relaxed in interviews, think like, oh, he's still going to, if we let something through, he's still going to catch it.
Yeah.
Right? The minute I told them, hey, I'm not going to do it anymore, now they take those interviews a lot more seriously because I'm not going to catch it, right? And the way I explained to them, one sec, these guys are going to work for you directly. So if it's your circus, it's your monkey, not on me. Because end of the day, I think people should choose who they work with. So anytime I do land up interviewing somebody for maybe some positions, critical positions, sometimes for doing something new, I always tell them, you're not going to work with me directly. Have you met your future boss? Have you interviewed your future boss? And they're like, what do you mean interviewed? I'm like, you're going to spend hopefully the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years in this company, in this division. Have you met your future boss? They're like, no, they were traveling the other day, so we could. I'm like, don't accept the job till you don't meet that person, because you're going to now spend next considerable amount of time, hopefully, with that individual. Do not join Equinox till you don't meet that person, right? Even though they met me, they're like, no, we want to join. I'm like, no, no, wait. You
Meet your
skip that
boss.
level.
Yeah.
Meet your boss, right? It's
Yeah.
very important for people to meet their bosses. Many times when you're working in large orgs, HR will talk to you, somebody else will talk to you, but you never land up meeting the person you're going to work under directly. I think that's the stupidest thing anyone can do, because the most influence that you're going to have on your job is the person that you report to. That person can make your entire experience absolutely mind-bogglingly good, can be very fulfilling, or can be a living nightmare.
Yeah.
So do not take a job till you don't meet the person you're directly going to work with. Bad coworker you can still tolerate. Bad boss, lot more difficult to tolerate. So
Agreed.
as a founder, as an entrepreneur, serial or non, if you have bad leaders, you are responsible for them. So coming back to culture, if you're a bad leader, it's time for you to either help them get better or ask them to move on. So I keep telling my leaders and my team the same thing. Like I tell the leaders, you are me in your team, because since I can't be everywhere, you're me. So I want you to behave the way I would want. You know how I behave. Yes, that's how you need to behave. You can't keep ego. Can't have, like, when a junior talks to a boss, there can't be fear. Boss can't have ego, because if you have these two things, nothing new is ever going to come out. No mistakes are ever going to be caught until it's too late, and you'll not be able to create anything that scales.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so no
But
ego,
it's
no
really
fear.
hard to do this. It's easier said than done. You've made it sound really easy.
No, it's not.
But letting go of that control, or, delegating and then trusting people to do their bit, I think it's the hardest thing to do, because between me and Siley, I know that, we were two of us. So things are a little bit more easier anyway. But if it's not me doing it or her doing it, for us to then completely trust someone else to do it, I think we've got a long way to go till we're kind of there.
You'll be there faster than you think, right? So one of the questions I ask any company that I mentor is, do you want to create a lifestyle business, or do you want to create a scalable business? If it's a lifestyle business, your strategies are very different. If it's a scalable business, your strategies are very different. Now, if you're saying, hey, I want to have a small restaurant in Goa, I want to work for 6 hours a day, and I want to just chill, and that's all. I don't want something that scales. I want something that maybe does in 50 lakhs a year. I make 10 lakhs in profit and I'm
Bas,
good.
हाँ.
Versus, hey, I want to create a scalable company. I want to do Series A. I want to go IPO in 5 years. It's a completely different ball game, right? If you're creating something scalable, right from day one, make a note of all your processes. Invest in good people. Invest in good tech. Invest in good systems. Create dashboards where you can monitor this data. Like today also, I am one click away from finding out anything I want to know about any of my companies, what they're doing today. So our tech team creates these amazing dashboards where at one click I can see any team, anything over the last 3, 4, 5 years. So
I actually, when you say that, it reminds me of something that you had mentioned about some particular type of a report that you get every week or month or whatever. Tell us a little bit about that.
So one of my mentor, Dr. Velumani, he taught me this concept called S6.
S6.
S6, where you can see last 6 days, last 6 weeks, last 6 months, last 6 quarters, and last 6 years in the same view. This is extremely powerful. Imagine you're able to see that performance at like that one report shows you 6 days, weeks, months, quarters, years. So you can see trends, micro trends, macro trends, everything,
Across.
right? I used to get this daily. But what I didn't factor in, and what he also didn't factor in, is how many departments are there, how many companies are there, and how many departments are there. So it actually became overwhelming. So now I've reduced it to once a week when I get this report. And now slowly, hopefully in 2024, I'm going to reduce it to once a month. And all these reports, what I have added to this layer of color coding, which makes it like a heat map. So if we are targeted, let's say example, we're selling something new and our target is 100 and we are at 90. So that's still on track. So it would still be green. If it's between, let's say, 70 to 90, it would be orange. Anything below 70 would be red. So if something, any line item is green, I don't need to look at it again. If something is in orange, I would get the team together. Hey guys, we're in the orange. What can we do to get out? If it's in the red, and if it's been in the red consistently for 6 weeks or 6 months, then I need to get in the weeds, fix it up quickly, get it back to orange, get it back to red. So once you're able to create a dashboard of this sort, now you can monitor multiple things very easily. Any founder that I've met who has multiple locations, multiple ventures, has something similar. May not be in the S6 format.
But what is the relevance of the 6?
It's just that you're able to monitor like days, weeks, months. So 6, you can make it 7, you can make it 4.
Okay.
But the ability to see the micro and the macro at one view is powerful. And we've made it a little bit more powerful by adding a little bit of more color coding to it. So there are times where I will not even look at the metric if it's green. If it's green, like it's 90 or 93.
On track.
It's on track. I don't need to spend time on it. I spend time on the reds. Even the oranges, it maybe warrants a meeting, but nothing more. So S6 has been a life-changing thing for me.
So now you've mentioned so much about Equinox Labs and your role there and your team and everything. What about your other businesses? Are they in the same kind of field or are they completely different? What's it like?
So second business is called Equinox Agents. It's a BPO where we do chat support, development support for US-based SaaS companies.
Okay.
The third one is a company called Million Lives Foundation, which is one of my most favorite things, where every year we try and impact 1 million lives.
So is that an NGO?
That's an NGO.
Okay.
Right? And the other companies get progressively very small, real estate, consulting, and so on and so forth. One chemical company is in there somewhere. Those other companies, the other companies, I'll be honest with you, I don't look at except for once a quarter, where I have to just sign a statement, talk to the person managing it, and that's about it. Million Lives I'm very excited about because of the kind of work it's able to do. Every year we try and touch 1 million lives. The last project we did was with government of Maharashtra, where we educated all the Anganwadis in Maharashtra, because today the food that is supplied in municipal schools, the midday meal program, is powered by all the Anganwadis. Unfortunately, most of the people who work in Anganwadis are not as educated, or they don't have the training for food safety. So the number of food safety issues that happen with kids is very high. In 2017 or 2018, early 2018, there was an incident in Bihar where I think more than like 19 children died.
I remember.
Because of the food that they served in Anganwadi. And I don't know why. I mean, I'd heard of food poisoning before, but this specific incident hit me very hard. I'm like, see, kid getting diarrhea is one thing, going maybe hospital is maybe a little more, but dying from eating the food that was served in your school, I don't know, it just hit me very badly. And I was like, 1 second, we are supposed to be experts in food safety. I am a national advisor to the body called FSSAI, and we do such a large impact in the food safety world and corporates and in food companies. Why are we not able to do something here? Right? And through this whole program, we were able now, because of this, 14 lakh children eat safer every year in Maharashtra because of our intervention. We are now trying to take this intervention to a nationwide, to other states. So we've offered it to other states saying, you all run it. They don't know how to. So it's coming back to us saying, no, you all only run it for us. So
you basically provide the know-how for them to sort of maintain those safety and hygiene standards while cooking the food.
Correct. And so in 2024, we're doing something a little different. We're launching an app called Karma, which is going to connect NGOs and people who want to volunteer. So today, if you want to volunteer,
sometimes we don't know where, how,
when. She may tell you something. Oh, we have a thing in Andheri for dogs. Not your thing.
Not my thing.
Not your thing, right? And if you tell her, hey, we're in South Bombay, something for kids, she's going to be like, not my thing.
Yeah.
So my point is, but if there's something for kids in South Bombay, you may be more inclined to do it. If there's something for dogs in Andheri, she's going to be more inclined to do
Definitely.
it. My point is this ability to find, there's no discovery platform for where you can volunteer. So Karma is going to be literally like a discovery platform where you can volunteer your time on ground, or 2, you can volunteer a specific skill. Like, for example, let's say I'm very good at raising funds. And that's exactly the reason I got this idea. Was I was actually helping, I was at an NGO doing groundwork, and the CEO of that NGO came to me and was started talking to me, and he soon realized what I do and what else I do. He's like, hey, you spend an hour a week here. I said, yeah. He's like, instead of an hour a week here on ground, can you help me? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm a first time CEO, I don't know how to do this. That 1 hour, can you coach me and can you help me put better processes into place, blah blah blah. And they used to do about 3 crores in funds that they got every year. They were able to raise about 3 crores every year through donations, and I helped him to create, in the next first 6 months, we'd already raised about 6.5 crores, right? Because I taught him how can you raise money. Like, he did not know how do you access CSR funds from corporates. These were all, like, all his previous investments were people donating money by themselves. There was no program in place. So when you're able to learn these things and able to apply this, sometimes the skill that you can offer is a lot more than the time you spend on ground. Like, time you spend on ground can touch one life, but the skill you can offer can actually touch
A lot
thousands.
more, yeah.
So karma is actually going to help you connect your skill or your time to the right NGO that you're passionate about, hopefully even close to home, which will make it more like a weekly or at least a monthly.
Yeah, it makes it more friendly to volunteer. You
Exactly.
can do it.
So that's what we're
More
setting
often.
up in 2024.
Wow, that's very, very interesting. You actually answered a part of my next question, which was what is in store in the future for Equinox Labs and for you personally.
Million Lives is going to be focused on this. Equinox Labs, last 2-3 years were great for us. The pandemic, when it began, it wasn't that great because for 2 months we were completely shut. But then in the pandemic, we took a couple of decisions and a couple of bets which seemed extremely risky. Before the pandemic, we had 2 facilities, Mumbai and Bangalore. In the pandemic, we went from 2 to 6, like we went 300x, which seemed very counterintuitive because people didn't know what's going to happen. The one factor was, I'm like, you know what, at some point in time, pandemic is going to end, right? Two, Dr. Velumani actually helped me make that decision. He was like, I was actually going to go from 2 to 4. He's the one who said, hey, why
6.
not 6? I'm like, what do you mean, why not 6?
He loves the number 6, I believe.
I don't know the looks of it, yeah, right? So he said, why not 6? And I said, hey, but no, why 6? He's like, hey, do you like building these facilities? I'm like, no, it's not something I enjoy. He's like, so it'll be like a band-aid, right? At one shot, you'll be able to do all of it together. You'll be able to buy in bulk, so your cost is cheaper, and so on and so forth. But that made sense. But going from 2 to 6, we are automatically in the top 5 in the country because there are hardly another 4-5 labs that have more than 5 in the country, right? Another decision we took was, we had a 20 people sales team. We decided to go 5x, go to 100 people in 2020, which was again a huge gamble, right? Again, mentors kind of came to my help, where they kind of helped me, like, how do you structure going from 20 salespeople to 100? Now this year we are tripling that number again, right? Those learnings we're able to now put into our software, we put into our processes, which is helping us to scale. So 2024 is all about growth. It's all about scaling up. Hopefully, if everything goes right, we should be multi-country. We are looking at maybe Middle East. We're looking at Philippines. We're looking at either Dubai or Sharm and Sharjah. We are exploring. But yeah, that's going to be something fun.
Wow, interesting. Good luck for that.
Thank you. So what pushed y'all to start a podcast? So I've seen your content. It's extremely entertaining. It gets people interested in finance, which is fantastic. But why podcasts?
So I think the simple thought behind it was that everyone has a different story to tell. And we have so many now, over the past 2-3 years, we've had so many creative friends in the industry that we thought that, we should like sort of just get them to tell their stories. Mostly, everything that we talk about is about us giving yarn to people, about us telling them how to sort of, do this and do that with your personal finances. This is a little bit about getting to know what other people do in their lives and then sort of making that connection with finance, because then finance has a role to play in everything.
Of course.
So I think that was the little, like, I guess, a little thought process
cool.
behind it.
That's pretty cool. What is next for FinCocktail?
So at this point in time, we're focusing a lot on the podcasts. We're also hoping we do, courses on and off. We like teaching. So we do them on and off, but we're also focusing on sort of getting a bit more like regular and sort of expanding that bit. And the third thing is what we already gave you a sneak peek
Sneak peek at,
into,
yeah.
doing something which will interest kids and students a little bit more into finance. How we're going to do that, I'm going to leave that as a surprise, but we'll get there soon.
Done. So, but I think what you guys are doing is, I think, really, really cool. Uh, Most people, by the way, everything you're talking about, first of all, should be taught in schools.
Exactly.
Right? Like geography and when Aurangzeb died and the which battle of Panipat in which year is honestly just Googleable.
Yeah.
Right? I know it has a space in terms of, yes, it teaches you how to learn things. But I think in today's day and age, what you need to learn and how you need to learn has changed very drastically. Learning how to manage money is almost like basic. Like if you know how to swim, yeah, you need to know how to manage money. How do you manage business
Yeah.
is something that I think should be taught in school, right? I think there should be courses on Canva. There should be courses on how do edit videos. There should be courses on how do you manage money. There technically also should be a course on how do you create content,
100%.
right?
I couldn't agree with you more, because this is where it's headed today. This is where the world is headed. And this is like the most basic in terms of finance. We really, truly, I feel that, if I didn't have financially savvy parents, I don't know if I would be sitting here doing this. So even for us to sort of think about it like that, where, kids can be taught in school, I think it's a great thing.
And I think you guys are at a place where you all can make that change happen. So
Yeah.
wish you guys all the best, and anything I can do to help you all get there.
I will definitely
Can
take you
always
up on
count on
that.
it. 100%.
Mentorship.
Why not? Why not? And
So-
but thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. So I am so used to interviewing people, and unfortunately, when you interview a podcaster, you're going to be interviewed back. I had warned you before you started that that's going to happen, right? But I think you guys are doing a fantastic job. I'm so psyched that this was the 10th episode. I'm in the 10th episode. Hopefully, I will do something more in life, and you'll have to call me back
Yes.
when I've achieved something more, something different, and I can contribute to this differently. But this was a fantastic episode. Thank you so much. Thank you to the crew. Thank you for you guys both.
Thank you, Ashwin, for being here and doing this with us. It's been so great.
Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to this content. The reason is, if you want to be rich, which I think you do, if you want to learn more about finance, manage money, I don't recommend anyone else more than FinCocktail. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Yay!
Thank
I
you,
don't do this for my
everyone.
own one, I did for you all.